Hello ladies and gentlemen, I am Screen Scene Guru. If you've been following my page for any amount of time, I do movie reviews, television talk, all kinds of breaking news and entertainment. Today I'm going to be doing a shorter video. This is a movie review on The Wild Robot. This was released in 2024, so I am catching up on a few years back of a release. This was adapted by a book, so really cool to find that out. It was a child's novel series. There is actually more books. I'm not sure if they'll adapt any more of them, given that this one was a hit. So let's go into this real quick. Like I said, it was released in 2024. It's a PG movie, The Wild Robot. It's an hour and 42 minutes, so not too bad, just under the 2-hour mark. I watched it on Netflix, so it is available to stream. I believe it's also available on Prime Video, so you guys can check that out as well. If you're not into buying the physical media, I might as well get the disc because I want to check out the special features. So like I said, it's a animal adventure movie, artificial intelligence, computer animation. It was made by the same studios that did, of course, DreamWorks' Shrek, and of course, the Puss in Boots franchise. So very good stuff there. It was nominated for Best Animated Picture of the Year in 2024. So that was pretty good. After a shipwreck, an artificial intelligence robot called Roz is stranded on an uninhabited island. To survive the harsh environment, Roz bonds with the island's animals and cares for an orphaned baby goose. So very sweet story. Like I said, the robot's basically programmed to interact with people. It was like sold or marketed as a helper bot, kind of like they mentioned it was written by the same people that did WALL-E, and WALL-E is really great. So yeah, really cool stuff there. Let's see, director Chris Sanders. Let's go into him real quick and just see what he's done. Oh, okay. So he's worked with Marvel for a minute. Looks like the last thing he did was he did How to Train Your Dragon. He wrote that. He did The Wild Robot. He did The Croods. So pretty good stuff there. Lilo and Stitch from 2002, the original animated Lilo and Stitch. Let's see what else. He did the live action How to Train Your Dragon, which is pretty good. The live action Lilo and Stitch from 2025, which I still haven't caught up on. He did the Croods Family Tree, the Croods New Age, so all of the Croods. Big fan of Nicolas Cage. He's now in the Spider Noir series, which I'm looking very much to getting into that. It's on Amazon. He did Disney Infinite, Marvel Superheroes, The Croods back in the day, 2013. He did Stitch, How to Train Your Dragon, Lilo and Stitch series, which I'm a big fan of. He did the Lego movie, so that's really cool. Yeah, so a lot of stuff this guy did that I'm a big fan of, mostly Lilo and Stitch stuff. The show was big fan of that. Chris Sanders. So yeah, really cool that he did The Wild Robot. This was probably one of my favorite projects of his. It was very emotional. It starred, let me look down here real quick, Lupita Nyong'o as the voice of Roz. And we got pedropascal as the fox in this, which is very fascinating. I didn't even realize pedropascal was attached to this project. If you go down to the voice acting, we got Ving Rhames as Thunderbolt, which was really cool. He's from the Men in Black, or not Men in Black, sorry, the Mission Impossible franchise. So Ving Rhames, really cool there. Trying to look at anyone else. We got Bill Nye as Longneck, really cool. The goose, Longneck, that is head of the flock before our young goose takes over. Thorin is voiced by Mark Hamill. So really cool stuff there. Baby Brightbill is voiced by Boone Storm. So Brightbill. Let's see who else. Oh yeah, Paddler, which is the beaver who's trying to chop down the big tree in the forest. He's voiced by Matt Berry from What We Do in the Shadows. So really cool voice cast they got. Trying to look at anyone else. Oh yeah, Catherine was Pinktail. So she voiced, I think it was like the mongoose, or the, it's like a little rat that was trying to protect its kids. Really cool that we got to see Catherine O'Hara's voice pop up, given her passing. I think this was like one of the last things she did, alongside with Beetlejuice. So if you're a big Catherine O'Hara fan, check out The Wild Robot. But yeah, it was a stacked cast, guys. Really cool. Bright Bill, Kit Connor voiced Bright Bill when he got older. That's the goose that grows up. You find out it's a bit of a tragic story. The robot crashes on the island looking for a purpose, looking for something to do. There's no people on the island, like they say. She ends up begrudgingly raising this goose, which she crushed their nest, killed the parents, unfortunately unalived them, not intentionally. And then she ends up raising this goose, Bright Bill, telling the other animals of the island, there's coming time where he has to fly for spring. He must learn to fly. So she teaches him. She builds a runway, does all this stuff. It's almost like a story for special needs. I don't want to go into that, but it kind of reminded me of similar stories that we've seen before. They were very heartfelt. Like I said, Bright Bill ends up going in spring. He leads the flock to the nesting grounds, and then he asks Roz, "Will you be here when I get back?" And she says no, which is really sad. A lot of emotional scenes in this movie, which I wasn't expecting from a kids movie. We just put it on randomly, and I was bawling my eyes out. But yeah, really good film. The robot company ends up coming back for Roz, which the robot they send kind of looks like a ripoff of the Sentinels from Matrix, like a floating jellyfish. But Roz ends up telling the animals of the island, "I need to go with them, otherwise they'll keep coming, they'll ruin the island just to get me." A big forest fire sequence when the ship crashes, and the bear, which I don't really know who the bear is voiced by, but the bear essentially tells the rest of the animals in the forest, "We need the strongest animal to put out this fire," and it's the frickin' beaver. It's the beaver that's been chopping on the biggest tree in the forest the whole movie, and they end up dropping the tree to divert the river that puts out the fire. So really cool, awesome action sequence in Wild Robot, which I wasn't expecting either. So I highly recommend it if you're not just looking for something to put down, to keep your kids' attention span on. This actually has a message, pretty cool story. Like I said, there's humans in the story. They live in cities with these robots, but the humans don't have any dialogue. Like, you don't really hear from the humans, which is fascinating. All they care about is making sure the plants are growing, the robots are doing their work. So that's cool, interesting. I'd say it kind of fits in the same vein of like Earth right before crap went down, like right before WALL-E. This Wild Robot could have been happening. So very interesting, very cool. Big fan of it. Highly recommend they keep doing more, because it looks like there are more books for them to do more source material on. So that's really fun. Why not do more for the kids, and us adults. Real quick, I want to go into some movie notes before I leave you guys and gals. Under Paris. If you guys watched that movie on Netflix, Under Paris, it's about the pollution getting really bad, and sharks eventually growing due to the pollution rate of the planet. There are sharks in the channel of Paris. Very interesting film. I watched this. This is very similar to Troll. I'm a big fan of Troll, the Troll franchise. I still haven't gotten around to Troll 2. Gonna catch up on Netflix. But very excited news to hear that Under Paris 2 is happening. Hold on real quick. Let me let my cat in. Okay, I had to let my cat out real quick. She was meowing at the door. But going back to this, Under Paris was fantastic. I'd say it was one of the better, low-budget sci-fi films put out. I think it came out in 2025, but I'm not exactly sure. It may have been in 2024. It was a minute ago. So kind of surprised that they're doing a sequel. Real quick, Disney Experiences chairman Josh D'Amaro has been approved to be the new CEO of Disney. So this will be the successor to Bob Iger. Very exciting news. This Josh D'Amaro was a parks and cruise man. So he was from the experience department, and they have been making money in the cruises in the parks. So it makes sense for them to fill the slot with a man that is very successful with his current position. They've also got Dana Waldron as a co-chairman, has been named the president, the COO, or CCO, Chief Creative Officer. So very exciting news there. It's a whole new position they've created for Dana Waldron. And a lot of people are excited they're keeping her on board because they weren't sure exactly if they were going to approve just her or someone else. They've got a two-party system, which I think is very successful for Disney. They need to think of just what the fans want, not just what boys and girls want, but both. So yeah, really cool stuff. That is apparently happening on March 18th. There's going to be a special ceremony at Disneyland, Disney World, inaugurating them as the new Chief Creative Officer and the new COO, or CEO. So really cool stuff there going on in March. Right in time for the March releases as well. We got James Vanderbeek, sadly passed. I wanted to talk about that real quick. He was a Dawson's Creek star. He's been in a couple other shows like Pose. I don't think I've seen a single thing that he's been in, but he was a big actor in my mom's time. He was only 48 years old, so very young to be battling, I believe, cancer. They haven't really come out and addressed what he has passed from, but I believe it was cancer. But James Vanderbeek, really influential in young YA television, young adult television. Dawson's Creek was huge. I do want to bring up a story real quick that in the early 2000s, when they were rebooting Star Wars for the first time, the prequels, it's a little known fact that James Vanderbeek was supposed to play a young Anakin Skywalker, but unfortunately he was not chosen. It was Lucas, of course, grooming and picking the roles, and he chose Hayden Christensen, which is very fascinating because we could have gotten a very different prequel storyline if we got James Vanderbeek to be Anakin Skywalker. But fortunately Lucas chose otherwise. Would have been really cool to see him in Attack of the Clones, they're saying he was casted in, but he didn't get the role. Attack of the Clones is one of my favorites because I am a big Clone Wars fan. Young Annie in that film was kind of difficult to get through. I very much like him in Revenge of the Sith. But it would have been interesting to see a different actor maybe take on the role of portraying Anakin Skywalker. What do you guys think about that? He is now resting in the Force, so we have our thoughts and prayers with him and his family. Real quick, I just got a little bit more notes just coming down. So Mattel, the toy company Mattel, has recently acquired the toy rights to TMNT, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Very fascinating. I'm a big fan of the franchise, of course. I've grown up with several of the TV shows concurrently running. I liked the last movie, Mutant Mayhem, was very good. They put it on HBO Max, and they put it on Netflix, I believe. So very good stuff. But now the toy line has officially moved over ownership from... They were previously Playmate toys for nearly 40 years. They've been at Playmate. Well, now, starting in next year, 2027, there will be a new lineup of TMNT toys, Teenage Mutant Ninja Toys, supposedly maybe getting ready for a new live-action project from Paramount. Very interesting stuff. I hope they don't contact Michael Bay. I'd like them to get someone else in the chair. But very interesting stuff. What do you guys think about this new toy ownership deal going through in 2027 for Mattel to get the rights to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the toys at least? But this is a very big sign. I mean, I did a story a while back about Masters of the Universe. Mattel currently owns the rights to those toys as well, and that was a fight for nearly 30 years to get the rights to the toys. And typically when they get the toy rights, it's not too far along that a movie or a television series is in production. So if we're getting the toy rights by 2027, we could get a project as early as 2028 or 2029. It's very fascinating. Devil Wears Prada 2 trailer, I want to talk about real quick, has the most views from 20th Century Studios of all time. That's including iconic films, like all of the X-Men films, trailer dropping. 20th Century Fox includes the Avatar trailers, some of the other big projects, but just really amazing to see it. Devil Wears Prada 2 has the highest viewership of the studio's history for the trailer, highest viewed trailer. And then Ted Lasso returns for season 4 on Apple TV. Very exciting news. I do want to talk about real quick Spider Noir. New images have come out looking very good. Supposedly we're going to get several villains in the series. We're not only just going to get... they had a image of Silvermate, who's going to be a crime boss, a villain in the city, which the Spider, or Nicolas Cage's character, is going to be going after. Very interesting 1930s setting noir. Rob should get a real big kick out of that. If you guys haven't already followed his channel on Robservations, I highly recommend you do so. Looks like they're showing off in new images. There was the Sandman confirmed, as well as Electro. Electro might be involved because we saw some guy with lightning powers. Hydro Man might be a thing that was iconic from the comics as well. There are several people that have abilities to control the elements, like water. I believe the Hydro Man was the water. There's a fire guy as well, kind of like the Human Torch. Not exactly sure what they call him, but a lot of people are saying it might be Sandman on fire. I'm not exactly sure if it's Sandman on fire. It looks like there's at least several villains he's going to be facing off with numerous powers, so that's very cool. We might even be getting a glimpse at Man Spider. It looks like from one of these images from the trailer, a human with like spider-like features, so Man Spider might be teased. It might be someone that just gets another spider bite from the spider and just mutates differently. Very fascinating to go into that with Nicolas Cage. Looking forward to that on Prime. That'll do it for my video today, guys. If you like The Wild Robot, be sure to like and subscribe. I'm trying to get to at least 100 subscribers this year, guys. I've made it up to 86, and I'm thankful for all your support. Appreciate you very much. Be sure to follow my channel, not only here on YouTube. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Threads. I'm everywhere. At Scene Screen Guru, posting constantly about entertainment news, sports news, all kinds of stuff. So that'll do it for me. Have a good day. Stay safe. I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.